But we got a little shower come through, so I decided to step into the garage here and work on another project. So first of all, I was able to find a really nice set of 6 Mickey Thompson tires. These are two 85, 75 R16s. So they stand right at about 33 inches tall, which is bigger than stock, taller than stock, and wider than stock. So I think they're gonna look really nice and give the truck a nice beefy look. As far as rims, I really went back and forth on whether I should use steel or go with an aluminum alloy. And first of all, these are the 2 steels that came off the front of the truck. And these were the nicest of the 6 that came on the truck. And so I've actually scuffed these up with a Scotch-Brite pad, and I plan to paint these up with a little bit of chassis saver paint that I've got left over in my original gallon. I'm just gonna paint them by hand. As you can see here, I did end up buying some aluminum rims. These are Alcoas, so I also looked at the Ion brand, which are much less than the Alcoas, but at the end of the day, I just pulled the trigger and bought the Alcoa. I'm not disappointed at all. These are really nice rims. These are the 2 rears, and I've got the 2 fronts. They're on their way. They should be delivered tomorrow, along with lug nuts and the caps. But these are gonna look really nice. So I'm glad I didn't hesitate, and I got the legit aluminum rims for this truck. So back to the steel rims after they get painted. These will be the 2 inside duals, and then I've got 4 aluminum for the 2 fronts and then the 2 outside on the rear. Well, this is actually a pretty quick project. I've got the inside of both rims painted. I'm at the bottom of my gallon of chassis saver, and I had a pretty hard skin over what was left there. So this is actually a perfect project for just finishing up the can, and if I need more for my project, I'll just buy a fresh gallon. But I've got the rims painted with 1 coat, and it probably only needs 1 coat since it is going on pretty thick. I'm going to flip these over, paint the other side, and again, these rims won't be seen. They'll be on the inside duals, and so really the purpose for this is just to cut the rust, get something to cover, and make them look a little more presentable. Well, I've got the other side painted now, and I think I'll just stop at 1 coat. It was extra thick just because we're at the bottom of the gallon can of chassis saver. So I'll let this dry, and the next thing I'm going to attempt is to mount up the 2 aluminum rims that I have onto the 2 tires. Okay, well, I moved outside here. I've got this big wet piece of cardboard to work on so I don't scratch up my new rim, but I'm gonna mount this tire up on this rim. You can see that it's got a cover on it now. It's polished on the inside dish, because this is one of the rear rims. They don't come polished on both sides. So this is the side that's gonna show when it's mounted on the rear of the truck. So I've got my tire mounting compound here, which is basically just soap. I do mount a lot of tires, especially for my son's lawn care. I'm always messing with mower tires, and I do have a lot of experience with mounting tires without a machine. I like using a machine when I have it, but here at my house, I'll just use a couple bars and I can get the job done. All right, so you can see here, I've lubricated my bead with some tire compound. And if you've never mounted a tire before or used tire compound, it's really almost the consistency of snot. And the purpose of that is to just make the bead slippery so that when you're trying to mount your rim, it goes through there without basically reducing the friction and making it slip inside the bead a lot easier. So another thing I wanted to call out is that if you've got a tire with white lettering on the sidewall, you want to make sure that the rim goes on in the appropriate orientation so that when it's ready to mount to your vehicle, the white lettering is either in or out depending on your preference. In this case, I want the white lettering in, so or hidden. So the black lettering here is going to be the outside of the tire, and this is actually the inside of the rim. So just make sure that you have the rim oriented right before you mount your tire, otherwise you'll have to do it a second time. Okay, so I'm about to get started here, and I've got the outside of the tire oriented with the outside of the rim. This is the polished side. So when you first start the rim, sometimes you can actually get the first bead just by pushing the rim through. In this case, I might give it a little bit of an extra convincing with these bars. These are just tire mounting bars. These are Harbor Freight. I've got 2 of them, and that's what I use to mount tires manually. I've also got these pieces of cardboard here, so what I plan to do is, you know, if I need to wrap it over the top of the rim here, when I'm mounting with my bars, I don't mar the new aluminum. So the last thing I want to do is put a nice big scratch in my aluminum. So I'm going on this direction because once I get this bead set on the rim, I'm going to flip this whole unit upside down, and then I'll use my tire bars, and I'll be working on the inside lip of the rim, which is the side that you won't see. So if I do have a scratch, or if I do make a mistake, at least it'll be on the inside and you're not going to see it. Okay, well that was pretty easy. I got the first bead on the rim, and what I'll do is flip this over and work on the second bead. All right, so we're flipped over now. Just make sure you take any pieces of cardboard that may have fallen inside the tire. I've got this fresh piece of cardboard now. So the trick here is just to start on one edge of the lip of the rim and then work your way around. Okay, well there you have it. I actually had to bring in a third bar here, and I generally, on like a mower rim, if I'm mounting a tire, sometimes I put a vice grips where on the starting point, and then I use my 2 bars and just work them, kind of leapfrog those around the rim until I get the tire completely on. In this case, I put this bar in my first spot and held it with my foot, and then I just worked the other 2 bars around, just taking a few inches at a time of that bead and get it underneath the lip here. So I didn't show this on camera, and I did that purposefully because I generally, sometimes I don't get it on the first attempt. In this case, I actually did get it on the first attempt, so I probably should have recorded it. But usually there's a lot of swearing involved too. So just to keep this kid-friendly, I thought I would just show you the end result. So here you go, and I'm gonna air this up now, and I'm gonna grab tire number 2 and mount that on, and so I'll have 2 mounted tires. Well, as I wait for my air to pump up, I thought I'd point out another couple of things about these rims. They did come with valve stems installed from the supplier, and so that's a nice feature. And if you're wondering, looking at this tire, thinking it's pretty wide compared to this rim, this is a 6-inch wide rim, and you'd be right, and that's just the nature of the beast with dualies. There's not a lot of wider rims available, so the community of dually owners just has to put up with wide tires on skinny rims. Otherwise, if this were just a regular 4x4 truck, you could buy an aftermarket 8-inch or maybe even 9-10-inch rim on a fat tire. So in this case, it is going to be a pretty narrow rim for a fat tire, and so it's going to wear a little funny on the crown of that tread pattern. But again, that's just us dually owners, that's what we have to put up with. Well, there you have it. The tire is mounted on the rim, and we've got it inflated to 65 pounds, and you can see the bulge on the sidewalls. And again, that's just the nature of dually rims and wide tires. So again, I'll point out that the white lettering is on the inside, as well as that is the inside of the rim. So I'm going to stand this up and go take it over by the truck, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison of the stock rim and tire. So there's the side-by-side, and the stock rim and tire, that's a 235/85 R16. So that would be brand new. It's probably about 31.5 inches tall, and it's probably about at least an inch, maybe an inch and a half narrower than the 285/75 R16 next to it. So quite a bit of difference here, and I think especially on the rear of the dually, having 2 of these big meaty tires side by side is going to look good. I also do have a 2-inch spacer that's going to go between the 2 tires on the back, just so that the tires don't touch after they're bolted on the truck. So I'm going to get the second one mounted up, and that will be all for tonight. So I hope this video was helpful in demonstrating how to mount a tire with just a couple hand tools, and knowing that there is an alternative to going to a tire shop. Now, of course, these have not yet been balanced, so that's one thing that I can't do here at home. But if you're needing to put a tire on a spare rim or just change out a flat, there certainly are ways to do that in your driveway. And it just takes a couple simple tools and a little bit of muscle and know-how.